One of the things the public cloud has introduced us to is a simpler way of doing things. Where it used to take weeks to months to plan and deploy new infrastructure, now it can be done in minutes to hours with automation or a few clicks. So how can you get that same streamlined simplicity on-prem and achieve what we're trying to achieve? Let's see how Flow Virtual Networking can simplify and accelerate your deployments. Hi, I'm Eric Walters, Technical Marketing Engineer here at Nutanix. In this video, we're going to take what we learned in the first two videos and put that into action. We'll create our subnets, we'll create our VPC, then attach those subnets to the VPC. Let's jump in. We will first create an external subnet for our VPC. In Prism Central, at the main menu dropdown, select Subnets from the Network and Security section. First, we'll give the subnet a name. Select the cluster this subnet belongs to, then add in the VLAN ID provided by your networking infrastructure. External subnets are VLAN-backed subnets. We designate this subnet to be used for external connectivity for VPCs. Along with that, we make sure NAT is enabled for our VPCs. Then we configure the network information and address pool that will be used to allocate the NAT IP addresses to our VPCs. In our next step, we create our VPC. We give the VPC a name and attach the VPC to an external subnet. This step creates and configures the virtual router for our VPC. Next, we create our private overlay subnet for our VPC. This is the network the VMs in our VPC will live on. While these VMs can have statically assigned IP addresses, we can also configure an address pool to distribute IP addresses on this private subnet. Now let's look at our VPC up to this point. We can see the overlay subnet we created is attached to our VPC. Let's look at the routes for our VPC. The only route in our routing table is for our locally connected overlay subnet. Because a VPC can be attached to up to 2 external networks, we don't automatically create a default route. So let's create a default route now. I'll add an all route statement and select my external network as my next hop. It's that simple. Now we see the default route is there in the VPC. This route now gives the VMs attached to our VPC subnet a route to destinations outside of the VPC. At this point, any VMs communicating out of the VPC will be using SNAT, all behind the same external network IP address. So as a bonus, let's create a static NAT for one of our virtual machines in our VPC. To do this, we'll go to the floating IP section and request a floating IP. Floating IP addresses come from the address pool we defined when creating that external network. We select the external subnet we would like to get our floating IP from. We give it a number. Sometimes you may want to request more than one floating IP. In our case, we're requesting one. And then assign that floating IP to our VM. Now, anytime this VM communicates out of the VPC or serves as an inbound destination to sources outside of the VPC, it will use this static NAT address. I hope that was helpful. Stay tuned for more videos on Flow Virtual Networking. Thanks for watching.